This is Nathan Tusher with Aplos Analytics, and I wanted to share with you a really exciting new feature that we have with Aplos NCA. Specifically, it's the ability to analyze single dose and steady state data in the same data set with one analysis. Also, we have the ability to analyze data that has different routes of administration, again, in the same analysis. So let me give you an example. You have a study that runs for 14 days. You administer a single dose on each day, and you take PK on day 1 and then on day 14. And you want to analyze that data. Using most software that you have, you're going to need to split that data set into two. The day 1 data is going to be your single dose data that you analyze, and day 14 is going to be your steady state. So you split your data set into two and you run two different NCA analyses, because most software can't analyze single dose and steady state at the same time. However, with Aplos NCA, you can. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So first, we're going to upload the data set. And so I have this example here, and it's a multiple ascending dose cohort. And so you can see here we have subject 1 that has a dose on day 1, and they have PK samples through 24 hours. And then on day 14, they have samples that are through 24 hours after that day 14 sample. So in order to do this, we have to add a few extra columns. So first of all, we have this column called frequency, where we've listed single or steady state. And then we also have a column for tau. So it's blank for single dose, but then it's 24 hours for the steady state. And then you can see that they have the second subject here. So there's actually 10 subjects in this data set that are oriented this way. So we're going to go ahead and upload this data, and then it will save it, and we'll have a unique file identifier on this data set so that it's unique and it's the audit controlled, and you have an audit history of it. And then we're going to go to the configuration of this data set to be able to analyze the single dose and steady state in the same analysis. And the way we do this is normally you choose frequency as either single dose or steady state. In this case, we're going to say we're going to use a data column for this. And in this data column is frequency. And so remember that data said either single or steady state. Then we know it's extravascular, so that's fine. The dose amount is actually in a data column as well. So that's there in dose. And you'll see that there's other information that we can put in here. Because we don't exactly know what dosing route we're going to use or anything like that, it'll actually populate everything for us. So even though it says rate and duration, this is for an IV infusion, we can just leave it in there. It'll be ignored in the analysis. However, tau, we need that. So remember, there was a column called tau, so we're going to select the tau column. And then we move on to our data columns. So we're going to specify again the subject, and the time variable is there, and our observed concentration, and then our analyzed concentration. Now, it's going to automatically include the steady state or single dose as a grouping, but I'm also going to group by day, because remember we had day 1 and day 14, so we're going to group by day as well. That way it'll give me a summary of my day 1 data and my day 14 data. We're going to leave everything else the same. If you want to look at this configuration file, this is a new feature we've added here. You can actually, it populated this as you've entered those things, so you can see here, what the columns are and how you would set that up. And you can see that the frequency is now defined as a column, and it's frequency. The type of dose is a value, and it's EV for extravascular. So we can go ahead and we can execute this analysis. And so what this is going to do is it's going to split out all this data for each subject by its study day. And the day 1 data, it's going to analyze with single dose PK parameter calculations. And the day 14 data, it's going to analyze with steady state calculations. And then it's going to combine all the results in one output file. So no longer do you have two separate output files that you have to merge back together and create tables from. You have one output file that has everything, and it's going to be organized by the the dosing frequency as well as the study day. So this is just really fantastic, and it makes it so much easier because you can analyze your data directly as you get it from your study rather than having to split things out into separate analyses. So we'll just wait a few more seconds here for this to be generated. So again, this was 10 subjects, and there were 2 profiles for each subject on day 1 and day 14. So I had about 20 total profiles in that analysis, and it's going to summarize it. Going to take a minute and a half here, and then we can take a look at the outputs. So it's completed. It took about a minute and a half of total time. It took about 30 seconds for the engine to do its analysis. So we'll go ahead and we'll download those results now, and then we can take a look at them. We'll open this up, these results, and we'll go in. And as usual with Aplos NCA, you get your inputs, so your configuration as well as your data file, and then you get your outputs. So the first output I'm going to look at is this pklisting.csv. What you can see first is we have subject 1, and then if you look at the right, there's day 1 and frequency single. And so you can see here's all the PK parameters associated with that. And then it'll change over, and it's now day 14, and it's steady state. And you'll see here that we're going to get AUC tau. For example, here's tau, and then we get AUC tau at steady state, where we didn't get that with a single dose. And it's going to do that for all of the subjects. So here's subject 2, their single dose parameters, and then subject 2, their steady state parameters. So they're all there right for you. And you can actually, we have summaries of these as well. So here is the PK summary for day 1, single dose. Open it up, and here are the AUCs. So here's the mean AUC, all linear for day 1, single dose, and then all of the other day 1 parameters. If we want to look at day 14, which is steady state, we can go ahead and we can open this up. And so now we're looking at the day 14 steady state parameters for all of these 10 subjects. So it's got all those summaries for you and all of the outputs that you would expect. So the individual plots, you can see all the individual plots here. You can also see mean plots that we're going to have. Amazing new feature. Not aware of any other software that will do that, where you can actually do single dose and steady state in one analysis just that easily.